Good Monday afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller. Welcome to the I Love CVille show. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network. Thank you kindly for joining us. However you engage with this content, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, ilovecville.com, or our daily e-newsletter, thank you for being a part of the family. A lot of news we're going to cover today on the I Love CVille show, including Alan Groves, Dean Alan Groves, the Dean of Students at the University of Virginia, with a very to-the-point message for students as they return to Charlottesville. Many already in Charlottesville. If you've been to Barracks Road Shopping Center, the University of Virginia Corner, if you've been to Kohl's, Bed Bath & Beyond, you see students back in Charlottesville in force. We're going to play 90 seconds of roughly a 9-minute video from Dean Alan Groves and let you know the consequences for students. He does not mince words. That story coming up for you on the I Love CVille show. The class of 2024, 4 years from now, was welcomed with a virtual message. We're going to ask if virtual is going to be what 2024, the class, can expect as it migrates through Charlottesville and the University of Virginia. 4 years from now, what is college going to look like, folks? That story on the I Love CVille show. We have an update from the athletic department at the University of Virginia from a COVID-19 standpoint. Positive news I want to get out in our Charlottesville ecosystem. Positive news with COVID and UVA sports. That story coming up. Syracuse University suspended 23 students for reckless partying. UNC clears athletes to return to football practice today, despite students learning virtually. Roanoke County Public Schools, boys and girls, 13,483 students to be in fact, are now in the hallways of Roanoke, Virginia. That story for you. And folks, if you're looking for something to do, we have a number of drive-in movie theaters, including our guest today, Culley Baggett, doing a fantastic drive-in movie theater himself. We'll take an eye on cinema on the silver screen from an inside standpoint with Alamo Drafthouse and Regal Cinema in Stonefield now reopened, and also from a drive-in movie standpoint. We have drive-in movies in Gordonsville, in Greene County. We have drive-in movies at Dairy Market on Preston Avenue. Heck, Walmart is rolling out a macro advertising campaign about drive-in movie theaters in its parking lot. They are all the rage. We will dot the I's and cross the T's on the silver screen today on the I Love CVille show, and we'll close with a saga of epic proportions. And it's Jerry Falwell Jr. of Liberty University, his wife sleeping with the pool boy, Jerry Falwell stepping out as well, the pool boy extorting the Falwells for money and getting them to start a business for him through a blackmail scheme. Jerry Falwell and Liberty University, guys, involved in a saga that would make the young and the restless blush. All those stories and more on the I Love CVille show. Give the show a like and a share. This program thanks the fantastic people at Interstate Pest and Service Companies. It's a 4-generation strong business. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Let's give Interstate a little love. A home's best friend. Interstate Pest and Service Companies, where they care for their customers and their team members. And I have seen it firsthand. Literally a home's best friend, Interstate Pest and Service Companies. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Judah, my friend, I'd like to start with UVA Dean of Students, Alan Groves. And before we get to the video, do you have the video ready to go, J-Dubs?
Yeah.
You do. You're a good man. So this video, Judah, was what? It was just under 8 minutes. Just under 8 minutes. And this video was approachable, friendly at first, certainly very to the point, and it's a clear, I'm going to set the expectations for what we expect of you students. Judah, before we get to the video, I'm going to ask everyone watching this program this question. Are you ready for the question? Here's the question. We have seen across the country at Notre Dame, at Michigan State, in the ACC, at UNC, at NC State, we're seeing schools change from in-person to virtual because students, like the ones at Syracuse University, 23 of them, students like the ones at Virginia Tech, 7 of them, students like the ones at Radford, they're getting suspended for having parties, They're 18 to 22-year-olds. So here's the question. Is the university doing this? We're going to say we're going to reopen for in-person education. We're going to collect tuition. We're going to collect full money in the full freight for a student to come to our college. And we're going to do this because we're trying to preserve our business model. We know the students are going to struggle, but if we can shift the buck and shift the blame to them for not following the guidelines, we still will be able to collect as much money as possible at the beginning of the semester. Is that what's happening? Are we unfairly asking 18 to 22-year-olds who have newfound freedom from their parents, are we unfairly expecting them not to social gather? Are we unfairly expecting them not to fraternize or socialize? Are we unfairly expecting them not to party and be the social butterflies we know that 18 to 22-year-olds are? Are colleges essentially collecting money up front, knowing that the school will end up virtually, but if we say it's in-person school to begin with, then we can blame the students for not following the rules and then go virtual a couple weeks in? Is that what's happening here? That's the question I'm going to ask you. Are we starting in person to get as much money from mom and dad as possible for their kids going to college, knowing that these students will not follow the rules and in fact the semester is going to go quickly to a virtual education like we saw at NC State, UNC, like we saw at Notre Dame, Michigan State, and colleges across the country? Now, I'm going to table that perspective. I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. What is your thought? Are colleges asking students to come to their school for in-person education to get as much money from mom and dad as possible, knowing very soon they will pivot to a virtual model because kids can't follow direction from an 18 to 22 standpoint? Judah, let's get to that video. I'll give you a 3, 2, 1 count. This is Dean Alan Groves on the ramifications of not following COVID guidelines upon returning to Charlottesville if you're a UVA student. This applies to both on grounds and off grounds if you're a student at the University of Virginia. Judah Wickhauer, Dean Alan Groves, in 3, 2, 1.
Yet we've already begun to receive reports of some significant non-compliance. So here's another point where I need to be very clear and frank with each of you. Enforcement will include serious sanctions for non-compliance. You may have seen in the last 48 hours that several peer institutions have not hesitated to immediately suspend students who decided to place others at risk by gathering in large numbers. This includes our ACC peers Syracuse and Virginia Tech, who suspended 23 and 7 students, respectively, within the past few days. Purdue just suspended 36. I need you to understand that we will do the same. A suspension for violating these required public health norms will be immediate and for the full semester at a minimum, with no opportunity to continue your courses in person or online. Now let me repeat this critical point. A suspension will be immediate and will bar you from further participation in any university courses, activities, or programs for the fall semester at a minimum. This means your path to graduation will be delayed by the credits you won't earn this fall. These are serious consequences, but we are in a serious public health crisis. It's important to me that every student realizes the consequences.
He was very clear with his message, was he not? You will be suspended. You will not be able to get the coursework you need to get graduation or to get as quickly to graduation as possible. It's going to be a 1 semester or 2 semester suspension. Very clear. I appreciate the clear communication. I respect the optics. I want to give the University of Virginia props for setting expectations. Often I hold them accountable, deservingly so on this network. But Dean Alan Groves, very clear with his message. Thank you, sir. I'm going to dot the I's and cross the T's on this headline by asking you this question. Do you think higher education in America is utilizing this strategy? We're going to get kids returning to school for in-person education to get as much money from mom and dad as possible to keep the business model going. We know that students will eventually screw this thing up and cause us to go COVID and cause us to go virtual. Is that the plan? Because it certainly appears to be. You have tremendous empirical data. You have tremendous evidence. And I've named the colleges. Yet still we move forward. I'm not judging. I'm just throwing a perspective out there. Now, it was a busy weekend for Dean Allen Groves. The next headline, Judah, UVA Class of 2024 welcomed with a virtual ceremony. So you're coming to school, your first year in Charlottesville. Instead of being welcomed in person, you're now being welcomed, and J-Dubs, get that on screen if you could with the thumbs up. Thank you. You're now being welcomed with a virtual ceremony. My question for you, will this incoming first year class, will they be the class that migrates through the university with more virtual education than in person? Will this be the crossroads class where we reflect and say, this was the turning point where universities started going virtual and they started going with a business of volume of students as opposed to 25,000 in Charlottesville? It's an interesting question. I think 4 years from now, we will be more virtual than ever, and I think we'll reflect on the start of this semester as being the first inning, the top of the first inning of universities from East to West Coast employing a virtual educational model and going after volume as opposed to 25,000 or under. Next headline comes from the athletic department at the University of Virginia. Positive news in a COVID-19 world, folks. Look on screen for those that are watching on Facebook. There have been no new positive tests of COVID-19 among student athletes since this July. That's good news. The update includes tests from the baseball, men's and women's cross-country teams, the baseball teams who just returned for grounds last week. 7 other teams as well, including men's basketball, women's basketball, field hockey, football, men's soccer, women's soccer, and volleyball. In total, 282 student athletes have been tested for the virus, and only 4 have tested positive. No positive tests since July. It's important to emphasize positive news at a COVID time, right? And since July, there have been no positive tests among the baseball, men's basketball, women's basketball, men's cross country and women's cross country, field hockey, football, men's soccer, women's soccer, and volleyball teams. 282 student athletes, only 4 have tested positive, and those 4 came in July. Good news. Well done, UVA. That's from the Cavalier Daily. In a time like this, when so much of the news is negative, that's a positive headline. Now, a tough headline is what's happening in Syracuse. 23 students suspended after a reckless gathering. J-Dubs, let's get that on screen. Please give me the thumbs up after every headline. UNC clears athletes to return to football practice today as well. So 2 very different headlines, one at Syracuse and one at UNC. 23 students suspended for partying. UNC's already gone virtual, and this shows you the hypocrisy of it all. University of North Carolina tells its students to learn virtually, but its football team practices it today because it makes bank for the school. Students learn through a computer. Football players come to the locker room, put on your pads, tackle each other outside because you make money for the school. So University of North Carolina back on the gridiron today for football practice. Now, how about we go to Roanoke, Judah Wickhauer. And Roanoke, Virginia, folks, 13,483 students have returned to the classroom today in Roanoke County Public Schools. Roanoke's reopening plan calls for pre-K through 2nd grade to attend 5 days a week in the classroom. You heard me correctly. What is Roanoke? About 2 hours away from here, guys? Well, 2 hours from here, if you're a mom or dad and little Johnny is learning arithmetic in the broom closet and little Susie is learning her A, B's, and C's in the powder bathroom. If that's happening right now, Roanoke, K through 2nd, 5 days a week for students in a classroom. The upper grades, the upper grades attend 2 days per week. All students had the option to learn virtually. 23% of students in Roanoke chose to go the virtual route. Students, meaning their parents. So folks, the teachers in Roanoke take the temperature of the kids as they enter the building, and then they go to their desks that have strategically been positioned 6 feet apart. We will follow Roanoke Public Schools as they welcome in-person students back to their hallways 2 hours from Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm going to spend 2 to 3 minutes now on the silver screen and movies. First, I'd like to get 2 bits of news out. Regal Cinema in Stonefield reopened on Friday. Let's get that on screen. Thank you, Judah. Alamo Draft House reopened on Saturday in 5th Street Station. So your 2 movie theaters. We also have a movie theater on the downtown mall who has not opened. Regal Cinema in Stonefield reopened Friday. Alamo Draft House reopened on Saturday in 5th Street Station. 50 people or less per theater, per Virginia guidelines for COVID. The question I ask you, do you feel comfortable, this being what, Monday, August 24th, do you feel comfortable going into a movie theater knowing there's going to be 50 people or less, paying what, Judah, is it $12, $13 a ticket, and watching a movie theater inside at either Stonefield or 5th Street Station? Do you? Do you feel comfortable? What will the opening of these 2 movie theaters do for 5th Street Station and Stonefield? If you've been through Stonefield or 5th Street Station, in particular, 5th Street Station, you see a lot of vacancies. You see very little foot traffic. The movie theater is an anchor tenant, much like a Wegmans or much like a Trader Joe's at 5th Street and Stonefield from a grocery standpoint. The movie theater is supposed to drive foot traffic for the associated businesses around it. The reopening of these movie theaters hopefully does just that, because we have businesses in both shopping centers that need some TLC. And I'm going to ask you, are you comfortable going inside? I asked my wife this. She, along with me, said, you know what? We'll let this play out before we go inside to a movie theater. There are other options. And we're seeing the rise of the drive-in movie theater. Chris Henry and Dairy Market did a drive-in movie theater. Walmart is rolling out a national campaign where it's going to do drive-in movie theaters in its parking lots. Unfortunately, that is not coming to Charlottesville. We have drive-in movie theaters in Orange County and in Gordonsville. In fact, put the Gordonsville call to action on screen, if you could, Judah, and give us a thumbs up when that's going on. In Gordonsville, in September, you'll have a number of drive-in movie theater options, including Frozen 2, to start off the Gordonsville drive-in movie theater campaign. My kid loves Frozen. My kid loves Frozen 2. We feel comfortable going to drive-in movie theaters because we're in our vehicles. We're going to welcome Culley. And boys and girls, Culley Baggett is opening a drive-in movie theater in Greene County. We'll brainstorm with him the strategy. We'll brainstorm with him the vision and the concept in about 4 minutes on the I Love CVille show, and we'll spotlight some of the movies that he has on the silver screen. Think about it. You're in your car. You're with your family. You're not around other people. You're chilling on your seats. You're eating some food and some drink, and you're watching a flick. That's a good activity for a mom or dad, some friends. It's safe. It's COVID-friendly. It's COVID-safe. And it's something we haven't done in a long time. Get out of our house and watch a movie. Keith Smith is going to join us on the program today in the 1 o'clock hour to talk about the Chamber of Commerce and Project Rebound. Elizabeth Cromwell, the CEO and president of the Chamber of Commerce, will join us on Keith Smith's show tomorrow, Real Talk, an insider's guide to life, real estate, and the pursuit of happiness, 10:15 a.m. on the I Love CVille network. So the Chamber of Commerce will be in the spotlight today and tomorrow on the I Love CVille show and on Real Talk. Unfortunately, did you see this headline? There's more flooding in downtown Stanton on Saturday night. A couple of weekends ago, downtown Stanton was hammered with floods. I mean, I'm talking a man with a long gray beard holding a staff was followed in downtown Stanton by 2 penguins, 2 seagulls, 2 elephants, 2 chimpanzees, 2 pandas, 2 German shepherds, 2 parakeets, 2 rabbits, 2 koala bears, and 2 tuxedo kitty cats. You get my point. It was Bad News Bears in Stanton 2 weeks ago. Well, on Saturday night, it happened again. And you have to start asking yourself, boys and girls, Stanton is in the heart of Charlottesville, is in the heart of Central Virginia. It's in the heart of Virginia. There's not a lot of water around Stanton. You have to start asking yourself, are the systems in place for downtown Stanton being run and maintained correctly? Because if memory serves correct, downtown Stanton is not an epicenter for Noah's Arks. So perhaps city management should consider the flooding solving problem, the flooding alleviation issues, and look into that before the next heavy rain. It has been a lot of rain, but downtown Stanton cannot catch a break. Cannot catch a break. Flooding and two floods in 2 weeks during COVID, when there's vacancies everywhere and people are not patronizing and supporting the businesses. Can you imagine if you're a local merchant in downtown Stanton? I have to deal with no one coming to my business. I have COVID-19 crushing my soul. I have Lowe's and Walmart being called essential businesses when my local mom and pop is not being called an essential business. I see Congress not being able to bridge the gap or bridge the aisle, so maybe there's not more stimulus coming for a downtown Stanton business to survive. I have folks afraid to come in my door, and twice in 2 weeks I have to deal with floods in my business. Not good. Frustrating. Cheers in Boston, Judah Wickower is closed for good. The iconic TV show Cheers, who helped birth this bar, I've been there myself. Cheers, this bar in Boston, was birthed because of the show. This bar in Boston has been a fixture for 20 plus years and has attracted students and locals alike in Beantown. Well, because of COVID-19, Cheers in Boston, hasta luego, peace out, sayonara, so long, hit the road, Jack. Unfortunate. I spent some time there with some friends, a really good spot. And how about this is the restaurant footprint of the future? Speaking about restaurants, Taco Bell. Let's get that headline on screen. So Taco Bell is rolling out new restaurants. And I'm going to ask you, is this the restaurant concept of the future? If you can, from that headline, Judah, actually just put the headline up. I'll describe it. So basically, Taco Bell is rolling out restaurants that are just a box with a kitchen. No inside seating. Just a box with a kitchen, no inside seating. It's got 2 drive-thrus, Taco Bell's restaurant of the future. The first drive-thru is for the everyday customer. The second drive-thru is for the VIP loyalty customers, the loyalty followers of Taco Bell. The loyalty drive-thru for Taco Bell does geofencing, and when a customer has placed his or her order through the app and heads to Taco Bell to pick up his or her food, when the phone is within about a mile from Taco Bell, the staff at Taco Bell is notified or pinged inside, and they're told, start cooking the food because our VIP is about to arrive. He or she is a mile away. Pretty cool stuff. The VIP gets his or her own drive-through lane to expedite the process, and of course to encourage everyone to upgrade and to download the app. Let's take it a step further. Taco Bell is saying you're not going to dine inside our restaurant, but you may want to dine in one of our parking spaces. So Taco Bell is making its building structure smaller, but adding more parking spaces. And then it's sending out staff members in masks holding iPads. And they're taking your order from the front window or the driver's window of your car. It's much like the 50s and 60s when staff roller skated to your car. And when they roller skated to your car, they took your order, and then they roller skated back, and they gave you your food, and you ate it in your vehicle. Well, Taco Bell thinks that's going to make a comeback. And people are going to want to eat in their vehicle as opposed to coming in the dining room. So they're going to send staff from inside the kitchen to your driver's side door with an iPad, take your order, bring the food back to you. So is the restaurant of the future completely rid of inside seating? Is this the future of QSR or fast casual restaurants? Not eating inside, but having a bellhop or a concierge or a staffer hop on over to your driver's side window and get your order and bring the food to you. Very intriguing. When big brands like Taco Bell and big brands like Starbucks start doing innovations like this, I follow, because I think it's going to have a trickle-down impact to local mom and pops into communities I love, like Charlottesville, Virginia. We'll get to your comments after our interviews. If you have comments on the show, I will relay them after the Keith Smith interview. I want to remind you on how you can save $288 on the fastest internet possible. Let's get that on screen, Judah. ilovecville.ting.com is the link. Write it down. The fastest internet you can have in Charlottesville at the lowest price possible. ilovecville.ting.com, the link. Culley is going to join us in a matter of moments with his concept for a drive-in movie theater. I'm going to pick his brain about it. Then Keith Smith talking about Project Rebound. He is a part of that committee. And then we'll close the program with the saga involving Jerry Falwell that would make Victor and Cricket on Young and the Restless blush. A saga that involves the pool boy and more. J-Dubs, you get that panel next to me, please. I have Culley on the line now for our interview. Culley, you are live for Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network with quite a few people watching. Before we talk shop, how about we get an introduction of you and who you are, your passions, your hobbies, and your interests? The show is yours, sir.
Okay, good to see you, Jerry. Culley Baggett here, owner and the creator of the newest drive-in movie theater in Central Virginia, here in Ruckersville, behind the Woolly Lamb on 29 North, located directly across from Lowe's. So I think we got a great location here. We got the perfect setup for this, and we're just really looking forward to getting things kicked off tomorrow night with Jurassic Park and seeing a field full of families out here.
I love it. I love it. So tomorrow night, you're kicking it off with Jurassic Park. I absolutely love the movie. I love your idea. I love your creativity. I love your entrepreneurialism. How did this concept come to life?
Well, I've just been trying to create new businesses kind of based around the way we live now. I opened up a garden center here earlier in the spring to try to appeal to the ones who didn't want to be out in the big box stores and with all the crowds and the outdoor shopping. And so we started with that back in the spring, and then I saw how well that worked, coinciding with the virus. And we were just kind of sitting around one night on the farm and throwing around some ideas, and it popped in my head. And the first 5 people I pitched it to, some other local business owners were like, man, that's a great idea. And we just jumped all over it, and that was about 3 months ago. So we're just kind of trying to work through everything and get final approvals and get this thing up and running.
I love it. I love it. So we have a businessman, an entrepreneur, a visionary here, a community steward who is creating a business that is doing well for the community and is giving folks an option of something to do. I mean, if you guys are like my family, we're just trying to get out of the house and do something to maintain some sanity here. Talk to us about the permitting process. Greene County is so pro-business. I mean, I love Greene County. It's God's country. I'm a huge fan of Blake Dudding. A huge fan of Anthony Shiflett out there. I love Greene County and the pro-business aspect that you guys have. Was it difficult to get the zoning, the permitting, and all this stuff to life to make it a reality?
Yeah, well, first let me say I'm a huge fan of those guys, too. We've grown up together since we were in diapers, so great group of guys there. The county is definitely pro-business, which is definitely helpful in this situation. So the permitting is a pretty long process. Right now, we are waiting on a planning commission meeting. We have a hearing with them around the middle of next month, and then the Board of Supervisors will have a hearing for us around the end of October. So what we're able to do, though, is so that's what's considered a special use permit, as we're kind of dynamics of this commercial property here. So that's a lengthy process, but what we found out in the time being is that we can operate under some special event permits, which allow us to have 4 events per year, 7 days running consecutively. So what that will allow us to do is, on a temporary basis, show 28 nights of movies here at the permanent site on a temporary basis. We've got a huge blow-up screen We actually just ordered a whole entire new setup that's even larger. The new one is 30 by 40, which is huge. So we'll be doing these movies here, and then we're also going to, and you're actually the first person to hear this, so we're going to actually be taking the View-Thru on the road, and we'll call it the View-Thru Roadshow, where we'll be hitting a bunch of the breweries around and doing concerts. As you know, all the big names now in the concert business, in the music industry, are now using the drive-ins as platforms. So we've got a bunch of really exciting things to announce with you guys concerning that. But for now, that's just kind of a teaser. We'll have to keep the details under our hat until we get them all worked out.
I like that. I liked how you teased us right there, Culley. That was really good.
Just a little.
I think that's brilliant. So the concept is to use what you're doing as this is the concept, and correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to create a business that's going to do well by Greene County. With the special use permit, we're going to do a POP, a proof of performance. We're going to show that we can do it well, and then we're going to leverage this POP, this proof of performance, with leadership of the county and say, we'd like to do this full time, but we need the right approval from you to do this. So that's one side of the business. Then the second side of the business is to take the infrastructure on the road and to help customers stay sticky. And a movie is 2 hours and change, so they'll stay on site for 2 hours and change, drinking beer, drinking wine, eating food in a safe way. Is that the concept?
That's pretty much the concept, Jerry, and it really doesn't get much better as far as the View-Thru Roadshow goes. I mean, you get the best of both worlds, all the tailgaters who are not getting to go to the sporting events, all the people who love the live music and the outdoor venues who aren't getting to do it. Now we're going to bring a little bit of both, combine them, and see what we can do with it.
I love this idea. I love this idea. Walk me through your brainstorming and how you come up with concepts. You started the interview by saying, I'm trying to figure out ideas that are positive, that help people in a COVID landscape. How do you go about doing it? What's your brainstorming process?
I mean, Jerry, it's basically just, the world's changing. The way we live is changing. And whether they find a vaccine next week or next year, people are going to hold on to this feeling. People are still going to be nervous to be out in the big crowds and on top of each other. So I really feel like there's entrepreneurs who are going to take it to the next level by learning to adapt and create new businesses built around the way we live now. So, I mean, there's no certain process to it. Sometimes I'm sitting here talking to you and things are going through my mind. Sometimes I'm laying in bed in the middle of the night and wake up and one pops in my mind. So it's just a constant revolving door of ideas that are flowing through my head, and just trying to find new ways to live and to give back and to give people a chance to get out and enjoy, but also, to drive businesses, to drive their revenues up by going to different wineries and and breweries, to try to bring those larger crowds in, because, man, they missed out for a lot of months there. And as a small business owner of 3 different businesses, I am huge on us business owners working together instead of against each other, and creating a destination, where they come get a little bit of this and they come get a little bit of that. So lots of the businesses here in the county have joined up with me to try to brainstorm, and that's pretty much the process. It's just open dialect, networking, asking the people what they want, and trying to spawn off that.
Nice, dude. Culley, you're killing this interview, dude. I got a 3-part question for you.
Yes,
First
sir.
part is, how is Greene County managing COVID-19, and how is it handling COVID-19? Second part of the question, what do you think about Central Virginia? Because we're all tied to each other in some way. I mean, Charlottesville and Greene and Almar, Fluvanna, Louisa, Orange, we're all tied to each other. How is Central Virginia handling it? And then how do you think the country's handling? 3-part question for you.
The country's so divided on what's really going on here. I will be the first to admit that as busy as I am, I don't have a whole lot of time to keep up with it. So I try to kind of go with the flow of what's going on. I think everybody's handling it in the best way that they know how. because we don't know how. This is the first time anything like this has ever happened. Hopefully it's the last. So I think everybody's just kind of doing what they can do with it. One of the local businesses here that I'm affiliated with, the 106 restaurant, they worked in one of our buildings to get open for over a year. And their grand opening was the day that the governor shut the state down. Talk about complete heartache. But let me tell you what, these guys, they reconstructed their business to a delivery business and a curbside pickup. Greene County had no delivery besides a couple pizza chains around here. And these guys have absolutely killed it. They've done a wonderful job. They've got an awesome product. And they adapted to what was going on around them. And as other restaurants shut down, these guys excelled at an even higher rate because of the other restaurant owners who could not necessarily grasp the change and how to adapt. It left them as one of the only operating businesses in the area as far as the restaurants go. So, if the rest of the country can get on board, that's Greene County, that's Central Virginia, that's the United States of America. If everybody can get on board and just try to expand their thinking a little bit, get a little bit outside the box, I know that's tough for a lot of us to do, but if they can do that, the economy will rebound as good as we possibly can for the time being, and we're just going to have to ride this thing out. So
that's a great take. That's William Cooper's business, right?
Yes,
yeah, Chef William
right,
Cooper.
Yeah.
He went from a food truck, guys, to having a fabulous restaurant in Greene. And so is that your building?
That's a building that we manage, yes.
Okay.
So it's part of the same properties here. So, and Will has done a great job. And they're still operating the food trucks. As a matter of fact, their food trucks will be going on the road for the View-Thru road show with us. And they're also here on site permanently for anything that happens here at the View-Thru. So, yeah, I mean, they've done an excellent job, that's for sure.
Your phone's blowing up with people watching you on the show right now. The View-Thru concept, you're packaging movie with the food truck, and you're going to a business, and you're saying, we can keep people sticky. Culley, this is freaking brilliant, dude. I mean, this is brilliant. I think you're going to crush it with this concept. All right, let me throw this concept to you. Highlight others in Greene or others around Charlottesville and Central Virginia that you have seen do positive things, innovative things. Because, Culley, we are a platform of hope. And right now it is a scary freaking time, as you know. We're all feeling vulnerable and uncertain. So I try to emphasize the innovation and the creativity and some positivity that's happening. Can you give us the boots on the street perspective that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I love watching the ingenuity of the people. I love seeing that. When this thing first kicked off, we did a big campaign called Feed the Front Line. And Keith, owner over at Wolf's Fixin', which is a barbecue place right across the road from us here in Ruckersville, he helped us out a lot, did a lot of the cooking and stuff for us. Troy Robinson over at Order Up Mobile Food Cart, Troy was a part of Feed the Front Line. We did that just so that we could try to help out all the frontline workers. And we were kind of first out of the gate with that. And there were a lot of other businesses that reached out that wanted to be a part of that as well. So I think it just kind of takes the pioneer, somebody to jump out there first, and then other people kind of join in. To be honest with you, I am so engulfed in everything that we have going on here. I don't get outside of my little small circle as often as I'd like, but that's kind of the point of going on the road with the View-Thru, is to get out there and to show the people. So OEI Events, which is a company out of Louisa, Galen Greenlaw, he's a partner of mine. He is who provides all the equipment for me to do the temporary drive-in here, and he will be going on the road with me as a partner for this. He's done an excellent job. He used to organize events like the Boston Marathon, huge events. With all these towns, that's when he got into the pop-up drive-in. So Galen and I with OEI Events are actually the ones, I heard you talking about it earlier, we're doing the movies over in Orange County and in Gordonsville next week.
Really?
That's why we're not showing movies here on Saturday night. That's why we can only run Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because we already have these events over in Orange and Gordonsville that are already booked. So,
dude, that's awesome. Let me ask you a question here. Let me jump. I didn't know that. So is it the same brand? Is it the same brand in Gordonsville and Orange?
Yes, sir. Now, it's not directly affiliated with the View-Thru because this was already created by OEI and Galen before he and I got connected. He started seeing the news coverage and the Facebooks and all that, and he reached out to me and said, hey, I got a great idea. I can get you some revenue coming in. I can get you some practice. I mean, I'm a contractor by trade, you know. This is my first experience with running a movie theater, you know, so this is going to be great for me as a learning curve. And I've got an absolute professional with Galen on my side helping me through it all. So we've actually gone and purchased an entire new setup just so that none of the things that OEI already has booked for this summer and fall, so none of those interfere with the things that we want to do. Because it's been such positive feedback and everybody is excited. I feel like 28 days is not enough. We want to be showing movies and concerts every single day that we can until I can get this permanent site up and running. And we will probably still stay on the road at that point as well and do different things because, like I said, we're all about helping other businesses. You know, I go over to a brewery and I bring 400 additional cars over there. That's 800 people. I've done quite some justice for that business there by bringing those people. They're going to eat there. They're going to drink there. Their kids are going to get to play there, and they're going to get to watch a movie and enjoy it at a safe distance. So, to me, you know, it's a no-brainer. And this is not just a Greene County thing. This is what you touched on earlier, a Central Virginia thing, which is why we're going to Orange and Gordonsville. We're going to be doing things with a lot of other companies. Now that we're actually about to be up and running, we expect this thing to take off even more so than what it already has. I mean, the feedback from the community has been tremendous, way more than what I expected. I fully anticipated people being excited, but 5 out of every 10 people that bring it up to me say thank you.
Yeah.
You know,
hold on, Culley, thank you. Seriously,
well,
thank you.
Yeah, and that was a surprise to get that, you know.
It's because we're stuck in our house. We're just trying to maintain our sanity. Do you have kids?
I don't. I've got 2 nephews that I adore like they're my own. But
getting the kid out of the house, I think this is a brilliant idea, dude. I think you're going to kill it. I think after this show airs, you're going to kill it. Breweries and wineries, this is a great idea to keep people sticky at your brewery or winery. People, this is a great idea for you. All right, I want to close on this. Can you get the specs out again of where we can see some movies, some who, what, when, where, whys?
Absolutely. So we're located at 9836 Seminole Trail. It's in Ruckersville on 29 North. If you're heading north, as soon as you cross through the 2933 intersection, we're the next business on the right. Pretty much directly across from Lowe's. Anybody familiar with Ruckersville? We're between the 2 giant billboards on 29 North. You can't miss us. We'll be setting up today. We'll have the tents out. We'll have probably maybe even a brief screening tonight just to do some testing and tuning. The food trucks will all be here on site. So you can find us on my personal page, Culley Baggett, Facebook, or you can find us on the View-Thru, which is a Facebook page, or on Instagram as well. Website is up, but it basically just takes you to our Facebook page, which is theview-thru.com. So anywhere on social media, you should be able to find us. Anywhere on the Jerry Miller Show, you should be able to find us. And we're not hard to find in Ruckersville. I mean, Ruckersville's still a pretty small town. Drive 29 North through Ruckersville. You can't miss us. We're over on the right.
I love it. Hey, I wish you the best. I'm glad this worked out. I think this is a brilliant idea. I want to say thank you again. I think Greene County's going to be thanking you. I love the creativity, dude. I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you for joining us.
Sounds good, Jerry. Thanks for having me. We'll see you soon.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Support that idea. I think that idea is brilliant. I mean, absolutely brilliant. And the drive-in movie theater, just like, guys, the drive-in movie theater is very similar to Taco Bell with the bellhops or the waitstaff going to your car with an iPad and taking your order while you're in a parking space and you're getting your Doritos Locos Burrito in your car as opposed to going in the dining room. People do not want to go inside. We'll get to your comments. Put your comments in the comment section. Put your comments in the comment section. We'll get to Keith Smith first. And then after Keith Smith, your comments. And then we'll tell you about Jerry Falwell in a saga of epic proportions. Judah Wicker, I have Keith Smith on the line. He's looking as distinguished as always, the distinguished gentleman. Keith Smith, you're live across the network. Good afternoon. How are you?
Man, what a rock star Mr. Baggett is, huh?
Right?
I'm sitting here feverishly taking notes, and I couldn't keep up with the guy. But I'm going to do something right now that will make you very uncomfortable because we've known each other for 2 years now.
That's right.
Rather closely.
Yeah.
But you asked the question about what people are doing for other folks in COVID-19. And I want to say thank you to you.
Hey.
Right?
Thank you.
You, this network that you've done, that you've created, Judah across the screen from you, or in front of you, you guys are just doing some awesome stuff. And I'm just so blessed and thankful that I'm part of it. So thank you to what you do. Thank you to what Judah does. And you guys are doing some awesome stuff. I know you're uncomfortable by me doing that, but I did it anyway.
Thank you.
So that
means a lot. Thank you, guys. We work hard here, and
Yeah.
thank you very much, Keith Smith. Project Rebound, Elizabeth Cromwell.
Yeah.
You got,
Yeah.
I mean, a superstar for tomorrow's show, 10:15 a.m., Real Talk
I do.
presented by the Yes Team Realtors. This man has got the CEO and the president of the Charlottesville Regional Chamber of Commerce, Elizabeth Cromwell, Keith Smith.
So I don't want to take too much thunder away from Elizabeth tomorrow, but just to put a little bit in perspective, they just won an international award for this. There's only 3 other firms or 3 other entities in the United States that won this award. It's an international. It comes out of Australia on it, and it's basically about facilitation. So I was part of it. And they had me on the infrastructure committee. Go figure. Geez, I wonder why. Which was great. And so what I want to do is, hey, we've adopted it, right? We put it into place. How is it working? And let's talk a little bit about this award. Let's give them a little bit of kudos. I mean, again, Charlottesville, right? Third in only 3 other places in the whole United States gets this award, and we're one of them. So that's pretty awesome stuff. And then on the back half of it, we're going to get into some really cool real estate stuff. I've been working on this all weekend. What seller beliefs are no longer valid in today's market. So we're going to spend a bunch of time talking about
Okay,
that.
can I see if I can guess some of those beliefs?
Go ahead. We got to do this.
I know. I like being around you. One of those beliefs, I bet you one of them we have to debunk is you no longer have to put 20% down.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's the big one, right?
So we're going to do on Friday buyer beliefs. That's actually a buyer thing.
Oh, you're saying seller. Okay, gotcha. Seller beliefs.
This is strictly from sellers. The whole world has changed, as everybody knows, particularly our industry. So things that used to be normal maybe are not so much normal. And I bet you if you give another
I know the second one. You don't have to have an in-person open house anymore.
There you go. That was a little too easy.
Was that the one you wanted me to say?
No, that wasn't the one. Our chemistry is totally not working today. But it is, the number one thing is pricing. We're going to talk about that. Overpricing can actually hurt you, and it's just golden 2 weeks that if you don't hit it right, it could go sideways on you. So we're going to spend a bunch of time on that. Great headlines today, by the way.
Thank you. How did the market do over the weekend?
So great. Actually, I pulled up a whole thing, but while our friend at Green was talking, I figured I'd run some numbers on Green just to talk about Green from Friday to today. Close, meaning actual homes that sold and closed and transferred. There was 8 units, and they averaged 306.
Wow.
That's actually a really good number. I didn't get a chance to dig into it, but while Mr.
You're saying between Friday and today, 8 units in Greene County closed, and they averaged 306,000. That's a nice price tag for Greene.
Actually medium, but yeah, sure. The same thing, but there wasn't that much of a difference between average and medium because they don't have a big scale. Like in Charlottesville, you can go from very, very high to very, very low and kind of in between.
Keith, I'm going to straight up say this to you. I'm going to say this to you. 2 counties where you're at right now in Fluvanna County and then in Greene County, these 2 counties are not only tremendously pro-business, but they're close to Charlottesville, and they are becoming hotspots.
Well, it's Nelson too. Don't disregard Nelson. Nelson is very pro-business, and so is Louisa. But Louisa is a little bit different. We don't get the whole county because it's so large. We just get that little section by Zion's Crossroads. But yeah, I mean, we talk about this on the show all the time. I mean, Greene and Fluvanna seems to be the 2 big trackers at the moment.
I love it. I love it. I love it. How was your weekend?
It was really good. We worked all weekend, did well, and we'll talk a little bit about tomorrow on it. But a couple of quick notes, if you don't mind, from your opening on the thing. The thing that kept on going through my head with the movie theaters and stuff. What is old is new again, right? So all these things, and the same thing with the Taco Bells, right? You know, stuff that is old, and then what they're doing is their business is adapting and overcoming, and adding a little bit of technology, a little bit of modern twist to it. But at the end of the day, Taco Bell's doing the old roller skate thing, and movie theaters, drive-ins. Who knew 5 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, drive-ins would make a resurgence? But they are. Same thing with churches too, by the way. They're doing drive-in churches.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty awesome. I mean, I'd feel comfortable going to a drive-in movie, wouldn't you?
No. We went to a drive-in church service when we were down on the Eastern Shore. Not a problem.
Yeah.
You sit in the car. You do your thing. But yeah, it's I kind of land on you and your lovely wife's thing. I think I need a little bit more time
before going inside.
Yeah, and we're movie buffs, Yon and I. We love movies.
I'm a movie buff too. I agree. I think we would need more time before we go inside and sit in a theater in a closed room, even if it's empty. We need more time. I think he's onto something. Anywhere else you want to go? Anything else on the brain, Keith?
No. Your opening piece about UVA and so forth and so on. I come from a very different world because I was in the Marine Corps at the age of 18. So you didn't.
So you could have followed the rules.
Or you end up in the brig, so in jail. So a little different.
Let me ask you this question: was Keith Smith, before he got into the Marine Corps, was Keith Smith a rule follower before he got into the Marine Corps?
Maybe not. Could be. I don't know.
Were you a troublemaker as a teenager?
You would have to. I'd have to bring my mother on the show one day and ask my mother that question.
Would she join us?
Yeah, but I'm not so sure you and I want that. I don't think I want that. That woman once threatened to iron my face and meant it. So, but I probably deserved. I know I deserved everything.
You definitely deserved it.
Oh, I know I do. So, hey, look, I know you're trying to wrap up the show. I just do want to give a little positive shout out to UVA. I don't think this is intentional. I think I know some of the folks working on this. I think they're really just trying to figure it out. I think the struggle that UVA has and some of the local governments and, frankly, all the governments, they can't adapt
quickly
like
enough.
Mr. Baggett did.
Yeah.
Baggett, right? They just can't do it. And they get bogged down in processes and systems, and they just can't adapt. So I don't think it's intentional, but I think you're spot on. I think you're going to see it go there pretty quickly.
I think
these kids are not going to play by the rules.
They're not going to play by the rules at all. They're not. I can't wait to see you tomorrow, homie.
See you tomorrow.
You have a good one.
See you later, guys. Thank you.
Keith Smith, boys and girls. Tomorrow, 10:15 a.m., Keith Smith, the distinguished gentleman, on Real Talk on the I Love CVille network. 10:15 a.m. tomorrow. Keith Smith on Real Talk on the I Love CVille network. Do you guys think that the students are going to... What's the over-under? If I put the over-under on UVA going from in-person to virtual, if I put the over-under on... Judah, what do you think we should put the over-under on? Say September 30th? Because it's not starting to the 9th, right? UVA starting what? The 9th? I'm going to do a quick Google search here, in-person school. I think it's September 9th. So let me confirm, and then we'll set a bet. Then I'll ask you to the bet. I'm pretty sure it's September 9th. September 8th. Okay, UVA making adjustments. In-person learning starts September 8th. So how many days in September? There's 30 days. Do you guys know the knuckle trick if you're watching me? And you go, January is the top knuckle, that's 31. February is not a 31. March is a knuckle, that's 31. April is not a knuckle, so that's 30. So there's 30 days in September. I'm going to put the over-under on September 30th. In-person classes September 8th start. So a 22-day delta between in-person start and the over-under on the 30th. Are you taking the over or under that classes go virtually by the 30th? And how much do you want to bet on it? This is a good prop bet. Jude, I'm going to weave you into the show here in a matter of seconds. This is a good prop bet here. The prop bet is this: over or under classes at UVA going virtual, and the day is the 30th. If it happens on the 30th, it's a push. Nobody wins, except I get the 10% juice as the VIG to line my pockets. If it's the 29th or younger, that's the under. Over is October. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Let's go to the Judah camera here. What are you going to take? And I'm going to write this down. Are you going to take the over or the under on September 30th, Judah Wickhauer?
That's a tough one. If I was betting, I think I'd take the under.
You take the under?
Yeah.
All right, I'd take the under too. I would definitely take the under. I don't think this lasts 2 weeks. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm thinking a handful of kids get suspended. When a handful of kids get suspended, UVA says we're going virtual, we're stopping in person, and they're going to scapegoat. UVA will scapegoat a handful of kids that get suspended as the reason we go from in person to virtual. That's my prediction. We go virtual in September. A handful of kids are scapegoated, scarlet lettered, and calls the reason for in-person to virtual, and then UVA keeps all the dinero. UVA keeps all the dinero. No refunds because it was UVA students. It was the students that couldn't follow the rules. It was not the administration. That's my prediction. Couple things I want to get out of the notebook before we get out of here. I'm going to get to Jerry Falwell in a matter of moments. Judah, do you have that headline from Jerry Falwell? Did I send you that? If not, no big deal. I can cover it myself. It's a pretty ridiculous story. I did not? Okay, no problem. So a couple things I want to get out before we go to Jerry Falwell's saga. We have a new piece of content that's airing Monday through Friday on the I Love CVille network at 5 p.m. And it's called the I Love CVille Daily Digest. In 3 minutes or less, you will get all your news. 5 o'clock, I Love CVille network on your phone, Facebook or Instagram. 3 minutes or less at 5 o'clock, you will get all the news you need to become the most informed version of yourself living on this planet. Nobody else will give it to you in 3 minutes or less to be the most informed version of yourself living on God's creation, the world. Okay, that's 5 o'clock, the I Love CVille network, the I Love CVille Daily Digest. Miller's Minute by Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Judah, Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. He is changing people's lives through sports medicine, physical therapy, and chiropractic care. We've touched on this, and I'll touch on this a little more. Jerry Falwell is going through a saga of ridiculous proportions in Lynchburg, Virginia. A couple things before I get to Jerry Falwell. Did you know this, that Liberty University has the second most amount of enrolled students virtually? Do you know what college in America has the most enrolled virtual students? Liberty is number 2. This is a great trivia question for you. Liberty University has the second most students that are enrolled in a virtual capacity in America. Do you know which school is number 1? University of Phoenix, who started virtually. Their school they're only virtually. So University of Phoenix has the most students virtually enrolled. Liberty University is number 2. Well, Jerry Falwell, the top dog at Liberty University, is going through some bad news bears, and it's getting ugly. In fact, he confirmed in an article with the Washington Examiner late Sunday that his wife, Becky, had a little ooh la la with the pool boy. Yes, the pool boy, who at the time the pool boy is 21 right now. So she had an affair with the pool boy before his 21st birthday. Long story short, the pool boy, according to Jerry Falwell Jr. of Liberty University, the pool boy is extorting and blackmailing the Falwells and threatening to leak the details of this sultry, seductive, sweaty affair. Before he could release the details, the Falwells try to come up with some hush money, and the hush money involved a business that involved the pool boy. So they invested millions of dollars into a business for the pool boy to keep him quiet, but the pool boy keeps coming back for more money, for more money, for more money, and he's leveraging the same thing. I'm going to release the secrets of me and Becky pressing skin. Jerry Falwell finally said, enough is enough, and in an article with the Washington Examiner last night, look it up and read it. It is crazy. In an article last night, he tells all the details of the sordid affair, and he even opens up vulnerably and says, I've been a part of my own sinful behavior as well. You can't make this up. Jerry Falwell, the pool boy, his wife Becky, millions of dollars, in a university that prides itself in a Christian mindset. Boys and girls, welcome to 2020, August, COVID in America. My name is Jerry Miller, and this, the I Love CVille Show. Take care.